Hey everybody, it's Thursday, February 11th, 2021. Thank you for joining me. This is Bull Boom, Bear Bust. I thought about changing the channel name. Somebody put down in comments Bull Kaboom. I thought that would have been a much better name. But we're already here. We've been putting out videos for a few years now, so we'll just stick with this Bull Boom, Bear Bust stuff for now. But Bull Kaboom, I like the sound of that one. Let's get into some news, everybody. Now, first of all, I just put out another Patreon upload. Just type in Jason Jaws Patreon or Bull Boom Patreon. You should see it come up. And over there, I do some more face-to-face stuff. I talk a little bit more about personal investing things that I'm into and my strategy. And some people were thinking here that I sold off all my crypto. Absolutely not. I would never sell all my crypto. What I do, though, is I sell some off as prices go up, and then if there's a dip, then I try to buy some of it back at a lower price. So just kind of a buy the dip type of strategy that I talk about a little bit more over there. Most people aren't into cryptos. That's why I don't go into more detail here. But that's what Patreon is going to be for. And I'm going to talk about less politics. I started diving into politics and stuff, but it's a little bit of a divisive topic. So it's going to be just about investing, protecting yourself. This last episode we talked about minor stocks and some things with the banking system. So check me out over there if you'd like to support the channel and like to get a little bit more intimate face-to-face time and ask me questions and whatnot. And it really helps the channel. Thank you to everybody that is supporting me now over there. Thank you so much. It really helps tremendously keeping this channel operational. Now let's get into the continuing deterioration of this economy, where more and more people have to depend on payouts in order to survive. We have tens of millions of people here that cannot survive now without payouts. They may survive, but if they do, they'll be homeless. And they'll be in third world country type of living situations, as you probably have seen if you've driven through any big city and looked under the underpasses. In California here, you can even see it on the side of the freeways and different areas with tents popping up, tent cities, more homeless people. It's already bad. And it's going to get a lot worse unless something changes. And we don't really see many things changing. The same trajectory as far as the string pull is, right? More debt, more inflation, endless liquidity for the banks. And speaking of banks, I was looking at some of these hedge fund manager profits. And I'm kind of upset at my high school counselors. And I saw somebody put that in comments about how they wish that their high school counselor would have told them about the hedge fund occupation. But let's take a look at some of these hedge funds earnings. Right, and we know that hedge funds have billions of dollars of liquidity at the push of a button. They are allowed to trade on heavy leverage. Also, the rules get bent to help the hedge funds make money. The brokerage firms are in on it to help the hedge funds, and against you, they sell your information to the hedge funds and to the market makers. But here, top 15 earning managers collectively made $23 billion in 2020. And wow, I'm kicking myself. This was a career decision that I really missed out on here. Chase Coleman over at Tiger Global was the top earner, $3 billion. James Simons at Renaissance, $2.6 billion. And down the list, we see Citadel. We're familiar with Citadel. Ken Griffin, $1.8 billion. And it's just amazing how our society has turned into manipulators, button pushers, traders as the most wealthy people, and people that actually go out and do the work that matters, right? The physical laborers, the farmers. Well, a big portion of those groups are begging for stimulus checks because they cannot keep up with the rising cost of living and the deteriorating economy. It's pretty vicious. It's pretty vicious. We have so much money going up to the top, tippy top 1%, the top of the pyramid, and all us little 99%ers down here can hope just for some trickle down. And a lot of people, like I said, begging for payouts and checks. And this rising cost of living, I'm telling you, I've got a few kids here. I live in California, so naturally I'm going to feel the pinch more than many of other people not living in such a high-priced area. But having a family, we looked at our budget, we looked at our credit card spending, and we kind of zoomed in on just the grocery part of it, right? Because there's a card that we use for groceries, there's a different card that we use to pay the bills. That way we can kind of keep track of everything, and you get points for shopping certain things. So different cards. I'm sure most of you might do that or do that to some extent. But we were looking at our grocery budget, And we are between $400 and $500 a month now just in groceries, just in food. All right, and that's the typical month. There have been some months, maybe holidays and things like that, where it's went up to $600 or $700 a month just for groceries. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got a small family. What are people doing that have 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids? How are they going to get by? How are they going to survive? And we've got the Fed out there saying, oh, there's no inflation. We need to keep rates low. We need to put rates even lower. And there's no way we can raise rates because inflation is in check. There is no inflation, essentially, is what they're saying. Or they're saying it's below their 2% target, which is absolute nonsense when you look at the cost of living. And how are food prices ever going to come down? We have a lot more eaters than we have farmers, right? Very simply put. Farmers are vanishing, and we have more and more eaters. And even with the billions and billions of bailouts that the farmers had to receive, we are still seeing farms file bankruptcy. Right? And again, it's the same thing with the individual getting stimulus checks and the farmers getting stimulus checks. It's not enough to keep up with the rising prices and the rising cost of living. And there was even a recent report put out here, rising food prices represent a awakening risk in 2021. This was just put out in January. Right, and that's why I've said here repeatedly that the next depression that we're actually in right now, it's just it's put in disguise right now because of all the handouts and all the assistance programs. But the next depression, once it's in full swing, it's going to be worse than the 1930s Great Depression. Because now we even have less people that are self-sufficient, less people that grow their own food, and more people dependent on handouts and payouts. So it's going to be much worse. Right, well, here's the news that I think a lot of us need to be aware of. If the economy doesn't change, the way that it's run, the structure, this is not going to change. It's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. No matter how many stimulus checks that they send out, that doesn't stop the rising prices, and it's not going to save anybody. It may help you get by for a while, but without major structural changes to the way the economy is set up and operated, it's going to continue. All the bad stuff that we're seeing is going to continue to get worse. All right, and that's what I try to tell people. They say, "Oh, you're crazy for selling off, your investments when they go up." If you don't take gains at some point, all you have is just digits on a screen. It's just paper gains. Take some of those gains out. People said I was crazy for selling crypto here recently. I didn't sell all of it just because I sold a little bit. People said I was crazy, and I talked about that more on Patreon. But you have to take gains. Take it out. Get yourself some real assets. I went and bought more canned food. More ammo is always a good thing. Self-defense units. More security. Digits on a screen are not going to help you. It's going to be food. It's going to be security. And we try to skate the line here on this channel between the economy, economic news, financial news, and preparation. Some people say it's prepping. It's not really. You're just preparing for the inevitable continued downturn in the economy. So if you've ever put on a safety belt, you are preparing. You're preparing to not break the law, not get a seatbelt ticket, and maybe it can help you if you get into a crash. So that's all we're doing. We're preparing and being aware of what's happening in the economy. And I would be really, really cautious right now with spending money when you don't need to, because this thing could creep up on any one of us. I expect to get a layoff notice any day. I don't think it's going to happen today, tomorrow, next week, but I'm prepared for it, right? I expect it. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happened, and I wouldn't be in shock. But I think many people are in shock seeing what's happening to themselves, all these millions of people behind on rent, with no way out. The stimulus checks are not helping, and we're going to see more and more of this spill into the streets, more poverty, more anger, and more danger. And for people that think that there's a recovery, well, take a look at this total payrolls right here. So obviously we saw the drop off starting last year when the shutdowns began because of the scare, and now we saw an increase, or we saw a recovery, what people were calling a V-shaped recovery, but it never fully recovered. And actually right now, if you look, we are flatlining. Payrolls have flatlined. What's going to happen next? Are we going to start dropping? Right, and how many of the jobs that people are getting are only in existence because of the stimulus checks. And if they stop sending out stimulus checks, how much worse is the job market going to be? Right? Total payrolls have flatlined. Everybody, this economy is in big, big trouble. Hope you're doing well at this time. Stay well, stay safe, stay prepared, and please try to wake people up as to what's happening, because I think more people need to be prepared. The more people that are prepared, the better it is for everybody. I've got some things right now that are kind of tying me to being in California, but at some point, hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to move to a more rural location, and I plan on being able to grow some food and being more self-sufficient. Solar panels, gardening, homesteading. But like I said, some things are holding me here in California. But I think that's the direction that this country's headed, and I think a lot of us need to at least think about headed that direction if you're not there already. Let me know what you think, everybody. Stay well, stay safe, stay prepared. Bye for now. Peace.